Hi, my name is Joel and I work for Essex Street Cheese. I manage our education and marketing programs. I'm really excited to introduce to you our flagship cheese. It's called Essex Comté and is made in the Franche-Comté region of France, aged in the famous caves of Fort Saint Antoine by the Fromagerie Marcel Petite company. I want to share with you some really important information today about the history of Comté, how it's made, why we chose to build an entire import company on it, and then most importantly, our partnership with the Cave Masters since 2006 that sets our Comté apart. So let's get started. Comté is a cow's milk cheese made from raw milk in the Franche-Comté region of France, which is a central eastern region bordering on Switzerland. The cheese averages about 8 months in age, but can be anywhere from 4 months to 3 years. Comté in 1958 was one of the first cheeses to receive AOC, or Appellation d'origine contrôlée status, more commonly known as PDO, Protected Designation of Origin. To this day, it is the most consumed AOC cheese in France. The rules of production are that it must be made with raw milk from Montbéliard cow that are living within 3 departments called the Jura, Doubs, and Ain. The document is just under 10 pages, but some of the highlights continue to control the feed that the cows must graze a pasture with only 1 meal supplemented daily as weather allows. The milk must be delivered to a fruitière or cooperative and converted into cheese every day, 365 days a year. There's no such thing as farmstead or fermier production. It is made in copper vats using traditional starter cultures and animal rennet. It must be aged for a minimum of 4 months on local spruce wood in order to contribute microflora to the rind during the aging process, preserving the terroir even more so. The French love their paperwork, and the Comté PDO is no exception. However, instead of just being bureaucratic red tape, it truly is a tool to preserve the centuries-old culture that Victor Hugo waxed poetically about in his epic novel, Les Miserables. This region is mountainous and rugged, covered in a variety of trees, shrubbery, and pastures that are difficult for any other agriculture besides pasturing cows. The origin of the name Jura comes from the Roman word jor, which means forest. Comté is the #1 cheese consumed in all of France, with history dating back to trade logs in the 1300s that mention large wheels of cheese from this region being brought into the Parisian markets. Located along the Roman salt roads and having little to offer, the locals began to abandon the farmstead practice of having their own cows to make their own cheese for the more efficient cooperative system, bringing milk down to the nearest village where a single cheesemaker would pool the milk to make cheeses that could then be aged and sold to traders passing through in exchange for other goods not available to them. After all, there was no Instacart or Amazon Prime in the 1300s. The cooperative system was truly a means of survival by giving the efforts of each person equal value as they contributed to the success of their home. This is why the benevolent priest in Victor Hugo's epic Les Miserables suggests the lifestyle for jaded ex-con Jean Valjean, truly a chance for a fresh start and an honest living. All of these traditions have been incorporated into the PDO document to preserve a taste of place and the lifestyle of the Franche-Comté people. Terroir, a French word meaning taste of place, goes beyond just the land that the cows graze on, but includes the cumulative resources of an area: animals, people, techniques, local materials used in production like salt, wood for planks, metal for bats, flora. The list goes on. But there are 4 aspects of Comté's terroir that set it apart from any other cheese: location, animal, salt, and starter cultures. Comté is made in the rugged terrain of Franche-Comté, like we spoke about, with incredibly diverse flora that makes for truly unique grass. In fact, a Comté cow cannot graze on pasture that has been mowed in the last 3 years to ensure the most diverse and flavorful diet. Comté is made using the milk of Montbéliard cows, which deliver less milk than Holsteins, but contain higher butterfat properties, which make for more rich and floral aromas. Comté is only rubbed with salt to pull out moisture and form an exterior rind, not penetrating the paste as deeply as a brined cheese. Comté uses a cocktail of homemade starter cultures and ones created using local flora at the University of Poligny. For 2 friends that had spent formative years in France, Comté was a cheese that was unlike anything else and deserved the spotlight in the American market. In 2006, these 2 friends, Daphne Zeppos and Jason Hines, sought out a Comté that would introduce the United States to this ever versatile and desirable cheese that graced every French table. The United States was not accustomed to buying Comté since very few companies were importing it, and if they were, there was no selection for flavor. Daphne and Jason sought out a 365 Comté, or one that you could take to a desert island to eat for the rest of your life. Looking at the Comté aroma wheel that has over 80 recognized aromas, they chose to find a Comté that would touch all the corners of this wheel. Something that could be enjoyed at breakfast with your bread and apples, shredded into an endive apple and carrot salad with lemon vinaigrette, melted into fondue or crepes, and enjoyed with a whiskey at the end of the night. They landed on this profile that is displayed on every wheel of Essex Comté: fruity, nutty, creamy, rich, sweet, rounded, meaning not one flavor would overwhelm, complex, meaning that it would keep growing as it lingered in your mouth, and a long finish that kept you going back for more. If the United States cheese shop was not used to even selling one Comté, while France shop If the United States cheese shop was not used to even selling one Comté, while French shops averaged 3 to 8 different ones, they knew that they had to start with something that would tickle the senses of each customer who tried it. So now they had to find this Comté. Well, fortunately, Jason had some friends. Founded in the late 1960s, Marcel Petite was a cheesemaker, gallivanting across the French and Swiss border. He was inspired by the local organic producers and intrigued on how to solve the problem of gassy flavors and large eyes that kept occurring, like the Emmentaler counterparts. He came across an abandoned fort from the Prussian War, but still owned by the village Saint Antoine. Recognizing that this subterranean fort, with all of its natural rock walls, ceiling, and barracks, made perfect caverns for aging cheese at a consistent temperature and humidity year-round. This would lead to a slower aging process, but finer flavors and smoother textures that would honor the work of the organic milk farmer. Everyone thought he was crazy to delay a paycheck, but that didn't stop him from breaking out into this new technique called affinagement, or slow maturation. Over the last 60 years, Marcel Petit has built a team of cheese matchmakers that take care of each wheel of cheese like an arborist does apples in an orchard. If you've ever been apple picking, you know that each apple is not ready to be picked at the same time. Things like wind, sun exposure, fermentation, and natural biology means that each apple must be treated as an individual. Yes, they all have one date of production because they come from one tree, but they all are ready at different times and must be handpicked for optimal quality and pleasure. The team at Marcel Petit, led by Claude Kerly, applies this theory to the care of over 220,000 wheels across 2 facilities in order to harness each wheel's fullest potential. The goal is to not push the cheese, but taste each cheese up to 4 times before it is sold in order to work alongside it to make sure that it is sold at the right time. If it's being sold to a local retailer, it will be sold in the flavors near perfection, since it will be enjoyed by consumers shortly. However, for us that require nearly 8 to 10 weeks of transit before a customer tastes the cheese, more prediction is required, which is why our team visits the fort every 6 to 8 weeks to place our order personally, tasting the batches with Claude's team to learn how the cheese are progressing and calibrate the profile Jason and Daphne built in 2006. Sharing feedback of how the cheese are tasting, which includes a lot of mouthfeel also, once they're in the United States, flows back into the selection process each time so that when you taste Essex Comté, it truly stands apart. The PDO does a beautiful job of preserving the quality of all Comté, but our goal is that each time you taste this cheese, you see that flavor wheel in your mind and keep going back for more. Flavors of fresh fruit, unsalted nuts, decadent cream, mouth-filling richness, and sweet flavors that have highs and lows, but rounded out for a pleasant long finish that leaves you thinking and grabbing more. I really appreciate you taking the time to learn about our wonderful Essex Comté. If you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to reach out at racheljewel@essexcheese.com.